Walk out to your yard right now and count the dirt piles. Not the ones you remember from last month, the ones sitting there today. Some are small, barely a bump in the grass. Some are the size of a dinner plate. And if you're honest with yourself, there are more of them than there were 2 weeks ago. You've probably already reached for a can of ant spray. Everybody does. And here's the uncomfortable truth about that can sitting in your garage right now. It's not solving the problem. It's making you feel like you solved the problem, which is a completely different thing. Spray hits whatever ant is standing in front of the nozzle when you pull the trigger. That ant dies. Satisfying, sure. But underground, 12 inches down, in a chamber your spray nozzle will never reach. There's a queen laying eggs at a pace you can't outrun with a can of chemicals. By tomorrow morning, the mound is rebuilt. Sometimes it's bigger than before you sprayed it. You didn't kill a colony. You killed the equivalent of a few employees while the head office kept operating. So if spray isn't the answer, and bait traps take weeks and half the time colonies just ignore them, what actually works? There's a method pest control companies genuinely do not want spreading around because it turns a $200 service call into something you handle yourself for less than the cost of a coffee. But before I hand you that, you need to understand why these mounds are doing more damage than you think. Because most people treat them like a cosmetic annoyance, and that mistake is costing them their whole lawn. Here's what's actually happening under that mound. An ant colony doesn't build downward for fun. It's excavating. Every grain of dirt sitting on top of your grass came from somewhere, and that somewhere is the root zone directly underneath. Once that soil gets pulled out and piled on the surface, the roots that were living in it are now hanging in empty air pockets. No soil contact means no water, no nutrients, and grass that's essentially starving in place. On top of that, the mound itself sits there like a lid, blocking sunlight and air from ever reaching the grass underneath it. Then you mow. The blade catches the raised dirt, scalps it down to bare soil, and now you've got a brown scar that takes weeks to heal, assuming the ants don't just rebuild before it does. 1 mound is an eyesore. 10 mounds is a lawn that looks like it's been shelled. And if you're dealing with fire ants specifically, this stops being a lawn issue and becomes a safety issue. Disturb one of those mounds, and you're not looking at a single sting, you're looking at dozens in seconds, and for some people, that means an actual trip to urgent care. That's not an exaggeration. That's just what fire ants do when their mound gets touched. So, before I give you the fix, I need you to understand why every chemical option on the shelf is fighting the wrong battle. Sprays use pyrethroids. Baits use hydromethylnon or fipronil. Granules use bifenthrin. All of them are poisons, and poisons only work if the ant either touches them or eats them, which means the ant has to cooperate with your method. Smarter colonies send out scout workers to test unfamiliar food first. If those scouts die, the whole colony avoids whatever killed them. Game over before it started. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. Ants can build resistance to repeated chemical exposure, the same way bacteria build resistance to antibiotics. So every season, companies quietly bump up the concentration. There's a method that skips all of that entirely, because it doesn't rely on chemistry at all. It relies on physics, and you cannot build resistance to physics. This is video 6 on this channel, and if you've been here since the beginning, you already know the pattern. Video 1 was a pH fix using something from your kitchen cabinet. Video 2 solved weeds with a mineral most people throw away. Video 3 fixed dead patches with dish soap and molasses. Video 4 stopped new weeds before they sprouted using ground-up corn. Video 5 turned yellow grass green with a laundry room staple. This one might be the most satisfying yet, because watching a mound go completely silent within a week never stops being oddly enjoyable. If you want the rest of this system as it gets built out, subscribe now, because each video plugs into the last one, and skipping one leaves a hole in the method. Drop a comment with your mound count. I'm tracking how bad this season is getting region by region, and your numbers help me decide what pest gets covered next. Okay, here's the fix. Diatomaceous earth. Some bags label it DE. Others call it fossil shell flour. It's a fine, chalky, white powder, and it comes from something that sounds more like a science documentary than a garden product. Millions of years ago, microscopic algae called diatoms lived by the billions in ancient lakes and oceans. When they died, their shells, made of silica, settled and compressed into massive deposits over time. Those deposits get mined today, ground down, and sold in bags at literally every hardware store and garden center on the planet. A 4-pound bag runs somewhere between $4 and $8, and that single bag will handle every mound in your yard for the entire season. Now here's the mechanism, and this is genuinely one of the most elegant things I've come across doing this channel. Zoom in on diatomaceous earth under a microscope, and it doesn't look like powder at all. It looks like shattered glass. Millions of jagged, microscopic shards, far too small for your eye to register, but absolutely brutal at insect scale. When an ant crosses through it, those shards catch on its exoskeleton and slice into the waxy outer coating that every insect depends on to hold moisture inside its body. Think of that coating as the ant's raincoat. Once it's shredded, the ant starts leaking moisture it can't replace. Not instantly. Slowly, over a day or two, until it simply dries out and dies. No poison involved. Dehydration from the outside in. Here's where it gets even better. The ant doesn't drop dead the second it touches the powder. It walks back into the mound first, carrying shards on its body. It brushes against other workers. It feeds the queen mouth to mouth, the way ants do. Every single contact transfers more of the powder deeper into the colony. Over 3 to 7 days, that slow wave spreads from worker to queen to larvae, and the entire colony dehydrates together, including the one ant no spray has ever been able to reach. That's the piece sprays and baits can't touch. The queen sits protected, underground, surrounded by workers. Diatomaceous earth doesn't need to get past those workers. It rides in on them. Now, for the part that sounds made up. Diatomaceous earth is roughly 85% silica, and silica is not just a killing agent, it's a beneficial mineral for grass. As the powder breaks down into your soil, it releases plant-available silica, and that silica does 3 things. It reinforces cell walls, making grass blades physically tougher and more resistant to foot traffic and heat. It helps grass hold on to moisture, meaning treated areas stay green longer through a dry July. And it triggers something called tillering, where a single grass plant sends out extra shoots from the same root base, which means more blades growing from the same spot. Turf research out of Florida and several Asian agricultural institutes has documented measurable density increases when silica is present in the soil. It's not an overnight nitrogen-style green-up. It's slower, subtler, and it compounds every time you apply it. So walk through the actual timeline with me. Week 1, the colony collapses and the mound goes still. Week 2, rain works the leftover powder down into the soil, feeding silica straight into the root zone. Weeks 3 and 4, the mound flattens out on its own since nothing's maintaining it anymore, and grass starts pushing back into the bare patch. Weeks 4 through 8, that new grass, now growing in silica-enriched soil, tillers harder than the grass around it. By month 3, the exact spot where the ugliest mound in your yard used to sit is often the thickest, greenest patch on the entire property. One product, two jobs. It kills the pest, and it feeds the lawn on the way out. Here's how to actually apply it. Method 1 is for mounds you can see. Pour about a cup of diatomaceous earth directly onto the mound, covering the surface in a light, visible dusting. Then take a screwdriver or a stick and punch 4 or 5 holes about 2 to 3 inches deep into the mound and sprinkle extra powder down into those holes. The holes do two things. They get powder into the upper tunnels where the most activity happens, and they agitate the colony enough that ants start scrambling through the powder while trying to repair the damage. Do not kick the mound apart. You want it intact, so the colony keeps circulating through the treated area instead of scattering. Method 2 is a prevention line. Run a thin strip of diatomaceous earth along your fence line, your house foundation, and the edges of your patio or driveway. Basically any border where outside ants might cross into your yard. Anything that crosses that line picks up powder and carries it home, which means colonies outside your yard start dying without you ever touching their mound directly. Method 3 is for a yard that's genuinely overrun. Load a broadcast spreader and dust your entire lawn at roughly 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet. It's a light coating, barely noticeable once it settles into the grass, and it catches every colony in your yard at once, including ones that haven't built a visible mound yet. At that application rate, it's far too light to affect the grass in any negative way, but more than enough to catch ants moving through it. A few rules that actually matter here. First, only buy food-grade diatomaceous earth. Never pool-grade. Pool-grade is heat-treated and contains crystalline silica, which is genuinely harmful to breathe. Food-grade contains amorphous silica, which is safe, and the bag should say food-grade right on the label. If it doesn't say it, don't buy it. Second, it only works dry. Moisture makes the particles clump and dulls the sharp edges completely. So apply on a day with no rain in the forecast for at least 24 hours, and reapply if it does get rained on. Third, wear a basic dust mask while applying it, since even the food-grade version can irritate your lungs if you're breathing a cloud of it directly. Once it settles into the grass, that risk is gone. Fourth, keep pets off the treated area for about an hour until it settles, after which it's completely fine, and honestly, food-grade diatomaceous earth gets added to pet food sometimes as a natural dewormer. That's how safe it is once it's not airborne. Fifth, be patient. This isn't a spray that drops ants on contact. Give it a day or two for individual ants, and a full week for the colony to go quiet. If you check the next morning and see activity, that's completely normal. Don't panic and reach for the spray can. Let me tell you what happened in my own yard. Last June, I counted 11 mounds in my backyard. 3 were fire ants clustered in one corner. The rest were regular mounds scattered across the lawn. I treated all 11 on a Saturday morning using the direct method. A cup on each mound, holes poked with a screwdriver, extra powder pushed down inside. Then I ran a prevention line along the fence. Day 1, nothing had changed. Ants everywhere, like always. Day 3, 7 of the 11 mounds had noticeably less traffic. Fewer ants visible, thinner trails. Day 5, 9 of 11 showed zero surface activity. The 2 fire ant mounds were still moving, just a lot less than before. Day 7, all 11 were completely quiet. I poked one with a stick just to check. Nothing came out. I gave the 2 slower fire ant mounds a second dose just to be thorough. And within 3 more days, those were dead too. 2 weeks later, I noticed something I wasn't expecting. The grass over the old mounds wasn't just recovering. It looked noticeably thicker and darker than the grass a few feet away. I actually measured it, counting blades per square inch in the old mound spots versus an untreated patch nearby. And the treated spots were running about 30% denser. In 2 weeks. I can't prove exactly why. It's probably some mix of the colony's remains adding nutrients, the grass filling in aggressively after losing that area, and the silica itself. But whatever the reason, the healthiest grass in my whole yard was growing exactly where the worst mounds used to be. Total cost to treat all 11 mounds. About $3 worth of product out of a $6 bag. A single professional ant treatment runs anywhere from $100 to $250, depending on where you live and how many mounds you're dealing with. And that's before you factor in keeping kids and pets off the lawn while synthetic chemicals settle. Quick answers to what you're probably wondering. Does it work on fire ants? Yes, though their colonies run deeper and larger, so give it 7 to 10 days instead of 3 to 5. And don't be surprised if the mound needs a second round. Does it work on carpenter ants? Only partially, since they nest in wood rather than soil, so a lawn application won't reach a colony living inside your deck or your house framing. That's a completely different fix for another time. Does it harm earthworms? No, because earthworms live in moist soil below where this powder is effective. And by the time it reaches worm depth, it's already wet and inert. Does it harm bees? Not when it's kept to mounds and soil, since bees fly rather than walk through soil. Just avoid dusting flowering plants where bees are actively foraging. What about other beneficial insects in your lawn? At these application rates, the impact is minimal since you're targeting specific mounds and borders, not blanketing your whole property. How often do you need to reapply? Existing mounds usually need just 1 or 2 treatments total, while prevention lines should get refreshed every 2 to 3 weeks or after any heavy rain, since that line is doing ongoing work, not a one-time job. Here's a simple seasonal rhythm to follow. Early spring, run a prevention line the moment you spot the first ants of the year. Late spring, hit any new mounds directly as they show up. Summer, this is peak season. Maintain your prevention line and treat new mounds within 48 hours of noticing them, since smaller colonies die faster. Fall, run one final prevention line before ants go dormant for the winter, catching any late colonies trying to establish before the cold hits. Total cost for an entire season of ant control, somewhere around $12 to $15. Compare that to a quarterly pest control contract running $600 to $800 a year for chemicals doing roughly the same job as a bag of fossilized algae from the garden center. Here's the thing I keep coming back to every time I make one of these. The lawn and pest industry has spent years convincing people that yard problems need professionals, specialty equipment, and expensive contracts to solve. And sometimes that's genuinely true. Tree removal and major grading are not weekend projects, but mounds, weeds, patchy grass, these are simple problems dressed up as complicated ones. And the actual fix usually costs $4 instead of $400. You don't need a service contract for this. You need a measuring cup and about 10 minutes. If you want the rest of this system built out video by video, subscribe now, because each one adds another tool that replaces something you'd normally be paying someone else to handle. Tell me in the comments how many mounds you're dealing with and what kind of ants you've got. Regular, fire, carpenter, whatever it is. I read all of them, and I'll tell you exactly how to handle your specific situation. Check back in 2 weeks and let me know what happened, because the comments section on this channel has genuinely become one of the most honest lawn resources online. Real people, real yards, real results, No sponsorships involved.